Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Today we are going to talk about some wrong methods of meditation and focusing on the right methods. Most people think today that meditation is sitting. Even this is a Zen point of view, when they even have a special word, what is that word in Japanese? Zazen. Zazen. They call it Zazen, which is sitting. And so most people, even those who are doing meditation outside Zen, they also tend to just sit and just watch the breath. And that is what is called meditation. But the teaching of the Buddha is not like that. Now in the Karaniyametta Sutra, it says, Tittan charang nisinno va sayano va yavatasya vigata middo. Now what does that mean? Standing, sitting, walking, lying down, and to keep on meditating till you go to sleep. That means the whole waking life, whatever you are doing, you have to be meditating. Now that means meditation is not a physical thing like sitting or standing or walking. Meditation is a mental thing, which is purifying the mind, constantly watching the mind and removing the bad thoughts and cultivating the good thoughts. That is what meditation is all about. So meditation is not a physical activity, it is a mental activity. And so some people even think meditation is to stop thinking. Meditation is not to stop thinking. What we are trying to do is to relax the body and to calm the mind, and gradually to empty the mind of all thoughts. So it's the gradual process of emptying the mind. But before we can empty the mind, we have to learn to calm the mind. And in order to do that, we have to understand that what we mean by mind. There are two parts mainly we focus on. One thing is the thinking part, and the other is the emotional part, what is called the cognitive and the affective. So, to purify the emotional part is what is called samadhi and samatha bhavana. To purify the thinking part is what we call vipassana bhavana. So this is very important to understand, and that is done not just sitting, but in every posture, every position, all the time, not just 20 minutes in the morning or 20 minutes in the evening. It is 24 hours, even at night. We have to be watching the mind and purifying the mind till we fall asleep. And the moment we wake up, again we have to be watching the mind and purifying the mind. This is the proper meditation of the Buddha. And so I shall stop here and allow you to ask questions. Well, you are asking me about the subjects of meditation and to explain what these different subjects of meditation. Well, these are not different kinds of meditation. These are different topics that we can think about. So when I said meditation, I said meditation means thinking. So thinking good thoughts, not thinking bad thoughts. And what are the good thoughts that we can think about? There are 40 good thoughts that the Buddha spoke about, which we can think about. And thinking good thoughts is simply the part of the Noble Eightfold Path, the Samma Vayama, which is the right practice. So the right practice is to avoid thinking bad thoughts and to start thinking only good thoughts. And those good thoughts are about 40 kinds of good thoughts. And so any of those thoughts can be used, but mainly the purpose of this thinking good thoughts is to get rid of the bad thoughts. So it is good to cultivate the good thoughts as opposing bad thoughts. So if you are and now this is the other thing about meditation teaching, that people say according to your personal character and things like that, you must practice the meditation. What that means is, if you are a person who gets angry all the time, then you should be focusing more on metta bhavana. If you are a very passionate person, always sexually excited and things like that, then you should practice the asubha bhavana, which is the anatomical meditation, anatomy of the body. Because the sexual desire is really a desire for the human body, which the child really begins to cultivate, because from childhood you become attached to the mother's body, because the mother's body brings the milk and the feeding and everything, and even the touch of the mother's body is very comfortable for the child. So the attachment to the human body, the contact with the human body becomes that. And then gradually the interest in the body, in his own body, the person becomes interested in one's own body, and then gradually becomes interested in other people's body of the same sex, because it is like your own body. And then gradually becomes hero worship, like you begin to, or you see another man, if you are a man yourself, you see another man with a good body, and you begin to appreciate that body, and you think, I will also build my body like that. And so you might become interested in muscle building, or maybe beautifying your body, or your hairstyle and things like that at a certain stage. And then later you begin to become interested in the opposite sex, and you begin to become interested in, that is when the sexual desires come up, and you are interested in the opposite sex. And so this sexual desire is actually ultimately becoming interested in the human body. And this is why the Buddha gave the meditation on the anatomy of the body, so that when you begin to see the inside of the body, that attraction to the body gradually disappears when you begin to see what is inside the body. So practicing Asubha Bhavana is useful to overcome the sexual desires. And so many other meditations, even like the Kasina Bhavanas, are useful because of the colors. You are really focusing on the colors. And even objects like the earth and the water. And this is not really concentrating on a thing. Now today Kasina Bhavana is thought of as making a Kasina Mandala, which is a circle, and applying mud on the circle or something like that to think about the earth. But that was not the method of the Buddha. The Buddha's method of earth meditation was simply to imagine the earth as if you are on the top of a mountain and looking at the earth below and seeing the vast earth going without limits, and like you are looking at the ocean and seeing the water. So the water meditation, the water kasina, is really seeing the vastness of the water. So why this is simply when you focus your attention on the vastness either of the earth or of the water or even the empty space like the sky, your mind calms down. There was a time when I was living in a house near the ocean in Sri Lanka. Every day I used to go and sit on a rock and look at the ocean, and that calms the mind. I forget all the things that happened on inside the country, and then I think of the ocean. The mind calms down. That is a good meditation. Just sitting at the beach and looking at the ocean, not at the people swimming and things like that, but a place where you don't see that type of thing, but just the ocean. And that helps to purify the mind and calm the mind. This is the main thing about kasina. Kasina is focusing on the vastness of the earth or the water or the air, and that is a very beneficial meditation. So different subjects of meditation like this can help. Even to take the blue color, for example, and just think of the blue. Imagine in your imagination, you think of the vastness of the blue, the sky which is blue, or thinking of the blue. Or you can think of the green also, green color, which is all. And different colors you can choose according to your taste, and then make it a scene that is vast, far away, going and far away, without limits. So that is all imaginary. It's an image, that mental image. And that kind of meditation can be useful. But that is not just concentration meditation and focusing on a small object. But this is cleaning the mind and purifying the mind and calming the mind. So different subjects of focusing to focus on, but still all falls in line with the Noble Eightfold Path, the Samma Vayama, thinking good thoughts instead of thinking bad thoughts. This is the important thing. So I hope you understood. Well, the Buddha speaks of the nimitta as the mental image which is responsible for the emotions, like patiga nimitta, which creates anger. And there is the subha nimitta, which encourages passion, emotional excitement. And so what we are trying to do is to change that mental image, and instead of patiga nimitta, we practice the metta, or metta sagata nimitta. And instead of the lustful image, we think of the asubha nimitta. So these are, nimitta simply means the mental image that we can change in order to purify the mind. Instead of thinking the bad images, we think of the good images, focusing our attention on the good images. Because it is that mental image that determines the state of the mind in the form of emotional states. So to cultivate good emotional states, we should cultivate good images. That's the meaning of the nimitta. The relationship simply, again this use of the word feeling, it can be misleading. Because the word feeling can refer to the emotional state as well as a sensation. Now we say angry, I feel angry. Now that anger becomes a feeling. But if I touch you and I feel that it is soft. Now that feeling and the feeling of anger are two different things. Anger is an emotion, whereas the feel of touch is a sensation. So this is why that word feeling can be misleading. Although I use the word feeling mainly because the psychologists today use the word feeling to refer to the sensation of comfort or discomfort. That is the feeling. Comfort or discomfort or the neutral feeling. And emotion refers to an excitement like anger or sexual excitement or worries and fears and anxieties. This is all emotional. That's the meaning of emotion. So when we speak of Vedana, Vedananupassana, we are really referring to the feeling of comfort and discomfort in the body. And when we speak of Chitta, we are really referring to the emotional state. And when we speak of Dhamma, we are really referring to the thoughts in the mind in the form of concepts, what we think and reason out, that sort of thing is the Dhamma, the ideas in the mind, which is different from the emotion. But it is this idea or interpretation of a circumstance that leads to the emotional excitement in the form of anger or lust or whatever. So this is related. Well, basically there are only two emotions, the desire for the pleasure and the hatred of the pain. Now it is from these that these other things like jealousy and envy, and these are called the upakkilesa. The upakkilesas are actually developments from these two, the lust and the hatred. And when we speak of lobha, dosa and moha, the moha part is really the blinding part due to the emotion. When we are emotionally excited, we cannot think straight. It makes us blind. That's why we say love is blind and things like that. And even anger is blind, you see. So that emotions make us blind to things, and we are not able to see things as they are. Now that is the moha part. So the lobha, dosa and the moha is the basic emotion, and built on that is all the other emotions. And like jealousy and envy really refers to envy is when we don't like another person prospering. We are envying the other person. We don't like the other person prospering. Jealousy means that we don't like to give what we have to others. That is the jealousy. So I may be enjoying, but I don't like the other person taking away and giving it to another. I don't like to share with other people. That is the jealousy. Envy is, I like to take away what the other person is enjoying. That's the envy. I don't like the other person enjoying. So that sort of thing is all related to the lust and the hate, which is the starting point. And even things like mana and all that, where we begin to compare with other people and feel inferior or superior or equal, all that is coming from these three roots: lust, hate and delusion. There again it is the metta, karuna, mudita and upekka. So the metta is really our interest in the welfare of all beings. So our interest spreads out to others. That is the metta. Just as I should be happy, the others also should be happy. Just as I don't like to be suffering, others also don't like to be suffering. So to think of the welfare of others as important as ourselves. So it is spreading out to all. May all beings be well and happy. That is the metta. When we begin to think of karuna, we are going deep into the metta, which is the same thing as metta, but in a depth dimension. Like, to what extent am I interested in the welfare of others? To what extent can I make sacrifices for others? That is the karuna, the depth dimension. How deeply am I interested in others? That is the karuna part. So when I speak about karuna, I say to be happy about the happiness of others and to be aware of the unhappiness of others as well. That is the karuna, the depth, to what extent. And to see others' unhappiness as my own unhappiness. To see others' happiness as my own happiness. So that is the depth, karuna. Then comes mudita. Mudita is happiness that comes from this selflessness. Because I am interested in the welfare of all beings, I lose my distinction between oneself and others. Myself and others, distinction, separation, is lost. And because of that, I lose all unhappiness. Why? Because all unhappiness is self-centered. I am unhappy because I don't have this or I don't have that. So it is all connected with myself or my loved ones. I may be unhappy because my children are not happy. So, but all the unhappiness comes from a self-centered thinking. But when I become completely selfless through the metta and the karuna, the unhappiness disappears. And that happiness of selflessness is mudita. Mudita is the happiness derived from losing the self. It is selfless happiness. That is the mudita. And when that happiness is experienced, the mind calms down. And the mind doesn't go out seeking other kinds of happiness outside. So the mind is not disturbed. It remains still. So it is a state of calm, not a state of excitement. So it is a calm state of the mind. And that calm state of mind, which is centered within, is upekha. So upa, there again is within. Upa ikkati. Ikkati is to look within. Looking within is upekha. And it's not only looking within, it is seeing within. And the looking within I call introspection, and seeing within is insight, the sight of what is within, seeing within. So upekha really is insight. Usually translated, panya is translated as insight. This is not insight. Panya is not the insight. Upekha is the insight, seeing within. And when the mind is focused within, it is not disturbed by external things. So external disturbance means that we are thinking of other things which are pleasant or unpleasant. And now we are thinking of what is within and focused within. We don't react to what is happening outside. That is upekha.